For today's episode of Back to the City, I'm very excited to be joined by my good friend Nelson DEVEREAUX. This is almost exactly a year after maybe my favourite interview that I've had, courtesy of Nelson's request that the interview happened. Back then it was at Cyanide Radio, it was the normal spot, but Nelson said, could we do it at the MIA? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Very pleased that it was. I've just moved to YouTube, and if you want more Nelson after you've watched this, then the next one on this playlist is that. We made a plan to go around the MIA. You had been in so many projects, so it was a kind of a turning point.
Yes.
Because up until just shortly before then, the vast amount of projects that you were in included not just Cat's Axe, for example, which of course you're still in, we'll talk a bit about today. You were playing with Hamar Superstar and Bon Iver already by then, but there was also Hustle Rose and New Sound Underground. We went around various rooms in the MIA, and we used different artworks that were favourites of yours as windows, so to speak, into the various different projects. Today we have just one artwork, and it's not going to remain this nice depiction of some wine by Roland, whoever Roland is.
It's really nice.
It's going to be, thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's going to be at various stages in the interview. This one and this one will be depicting whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
The main thing we're going to be talking about is the window itself. There you go. There's the the album artwork for the window, which is actually the third Nelson DEVEREAUX record.
Yeah.
The first one was called Love Nelson, because I happened to be asking you about that pretty much exactly a year ago in said coffee shop.
Yes.
You revealed that you had just finished work on Early Fall.
Yeah.
The previous day,
Yeah.
you had finished the recording.
Yeah, that was a wild time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that record came in 5 days, I think.
Yeah.
But like from start to finish, like that was done.
Today, you've just recently come back from playing at Eau Claire. And you had recently come back from playing at Eau Claire a year ago when we had this MIA interview. It was in that period, after having returned from Eau Claire, that you were thinking you needed to do some restructuring and re-landscaping, because we listed the projects, just some of the projects that you were involved in.
Yeah.
And inevitably there was some exhaustion in just trying to juggle all of that.
Yeah.
So it was in that context that you spent these 5 days creating the Early Fall record. And the Early Fall record is to some extent a record of that period too. It's like thematically influenced by that restructuring, by that re-landscaping.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's quite dark.
It's a lot darker than the window.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
One of the artwork that I enjoyed looking at and talking about with you the most was The Wounded Soldier.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Henry Moore.
Yeah, the Henry Moore.
Yeah.
Which is here in the window. At the time that we were going around the MIA, despite the fact that we talked a lot about Early Fall, I hadn't heard any of the music.
Right.
So I was particularly intrigued that there was the song "Wounded Samurai" on that record, which we can hear at the moment. When we were looking at this Road Warrior, we were noticing it has its shield up, its missing limbs. It was in a room on abstract expressionism, which the name of the room was Reconnecting with the Physical World, and it was just interesting to think about the physicality of this piece and what it represented to you and what it represented to us. This idea of it being wounded, like hurt, but and fragile and affected by its environment, but at the same time still kind of battling.
Right.
And it's especially once I had the opportunity to listen to Early Fall when I was doing the editing of that episode, I thought, this is like the image.
Right.
This Road Warrior. Right now you've just come back from Eau Claire, and you were saying, as we were kind of setting up the mics and everything, there's an interesting parallel between this time last year and this time this year. How would you describe this period right now when you're kind of recalibrating once again? How does it relate to, how does it differ from this time last year, which led to Early Fall and in part perhaps the window?
I guess I would last year I felt like I was running out of rope,
Mm-hmm.
or you know what I mean? Like I was getting sort of dragged behind like a car or something.
Yeah.
like just holding on, you know. This year is like I'm kind of climbing. I'm building.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like it's a more positive thing. Whereas last year I felt like I pushed myself to such an extent that I was just at not like I was at the bottom of my physical capabilities, I think.
Yeah.
And so what do you do when you're there? I guess you make a record, but you quit a bunch of bands.
Right.
Or you stop. You just
to be able to continue doing what you want to do.
Exactly. And I was forced with I had hard decisions to make.
Yeah.
I had to keep my future in mind, and also like a lot of relationships that I like. They're like everything to me, you know, like
Relationships with collaborators.
With personal relationships to people that I've been playing with for years, and once you get, I guess, to like a certain crossroads. I mean, people reach those all the time, but that just happened to be last year for me, just having worked really hard to play in a bunch of bands and like very, very much push myself. And I think I really had to, in order to reach my limit, to know what that is and what that feels like as an artist. But I think I went super far with that. I pushed myself super far. So yeah, at that point in time, I was at 0, and I had just really pretty much cut the cord with a lot of different things.
Because we were talking about the analogy again just before the interview between, say, being like a basketball player,
exactly,
or anything which is like very evidently a physical thing.
Right.
Playing an instrument is a physical thing too, and so we're kind of in that area. So if someone's playing basketball without really thinking about what impact that's going to have on their body and their ability to continue playing basketball, that's what we're talking about, isn't it?
Well, basically, yeah. I was like, at that point in my career, I was going out to hit home runs every time,
Right.
And not that I was even getting close, but I was going super hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like that's sort of as a product of the age that I was at and where I was coming at musically, just trying to like make some sort of a mark on the crazy steel wall that is like the music industry.
Yeah.
You know, even in Minneapolis, and that has such a rich musical history, you know, just to get some people to like be like, oh yeah, that's happening, you know, not necessarily for accolades, but just for, you know, to live, you know,
Yeah.
like to support yourself.
This is what you have committed yourself to doing, and
I guess at this point, that's what's happening.
So you want to make something of it, and and it's the same with whenever anyone finds oneself on a particular track, and you know you've made particular decisions, prioritizing some things over other things.
Right.
You want it to come to fruition because
exactly.
We were talking about relationships and about different music projects. Like it's always a constant juggling act, and it's going to involve some deprioritization of things that, if you're taking different life choices, would be still crucial features of one's life. So given the sacrifice involved, you want it to come to something. So you were saying that Early Fall is like a dark record.
Yeah, I would say it's fairly dark.
And we were saying that we've been talking about recalibration.
Yeah.
And something that really struck me as interesting that you said in our previous interview before I had a chance to hear the record is sometimes, you know, life is just going so fast that you're in a situation where before you've had the opportunity to to recalibrate, like the effects of one's choices are kind of affecting one. Let's just briefly talk about the darkness of Early Fall to contrast it with the light of it's not purely light, but in the images, you know, there's like in the video, for example, to the beginning, you're swimming in a swimming pool and you're dancing. That's the most Hama Superstar-esque I've I've seen you, like you got the top off and you're dancing at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So you rubbed off on you.
I suppose. Oh, Sean has rubbed off on me in some certain ways, yeah.
And speaking of Sean, you was something that you were highlighting when we spoke a year ago, is that there was a massive difference between, of course, the experience of touring with Sean, with Hamar Superstar,
Right.
and previous touring experiences. You were just about to go on an even bigger tour with
Right.
Justin Vernon with Bon Iver.
Yeah.
It was like the day after
Yeah, it
the
was,
interview.
man.
So,
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we caught you at quite the moment.
Yeah,
And again now it seems like a kind of similar recalibration. moment.
Absolutely, yeah. This is extremely good timing, I guess, because we'll see.
Let's make a habit of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is about to be a totally different chapter, I think.
Yeah. So you have the experience of the touring with New Sound Underground,
Right.
sleeping on floors and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you have the experience of touring with Hamar Superstar,
Yeah.
and that's a very different experience.
Being in a bandwagon and hotel rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, with like a
Yeah.
rider and everything,
Yeah.
being taken care of, being,
Uh-huh.
being respected.
Yeah.
And then the page that was being turned over last time we spoke, with it being recorded, was about to go on an even bigger tour with Bon Iver.
Right.
Where was that?
Right. That we went out to California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that your first tour with Justin?
That was my first tour. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of playing with Justin in the meantime.
Yeah. We've done 3 other tours, I guess, and they're not super long, but usually 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Of playing and some sort of atypical touring scenarios as well, like going I probably the most atypical was the winter when we went to New York, and we were just in New York City we went out just one time to play Portchester, but yeah, New York City.
That was immediately after actually tracking the window.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, that was immediately afterwards. Yeah, we had the session, and then the next day I drove back and got on a plane. And we were in New York.
Yeah.
And I think, how many shows did we play? I feel like I think we played 9 shows in maybe 15, 16 days.
Right.
It might have been more.
And these are massive shows.
There were big shows in New York, but the Pioneer Works was where we were sort of stationed. We did 5-night residency, which I think for a band like Bon Iver is super cool.
Yeah.
Because 5 nights of the same zone in a city is in Red Hook. And 5 nights of different people got an opportunity to see the band and come in. And granted, I feel like the cap was maybe like 3,000, but just to have people exposed to that space and what they're doing was a sweet opportunity, I think, because that's an artist space that's really truly like pushing arts education and real worldy skills too. With Bon, it was crazy just because there's so many more people involved too, and like different relationships to maintain in different roles that I wasn't necessarily like. I just didn't know that. I mean, I guess I was aware, but like, there's our monitor dude, designated monitor guy, and he's just like the greatest dude ever, and
Nice.
Like the
So
different
massive
tour managers
extended
and
family.
yeah, it's just
part
like,
of it.
honestly, it's the greatest because everyone is just like such a good soul.
Yeah.
I like, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had, just because I do feel like that's my family. Like
Nice.
I will be able to call up those people and have great, meaningful discussions for years to come. And on top of that, if we get to make more music, that's great too. But like, first and foremost, that those people are like super dependable and great. I don't know. So
5 of those great souls and super dependable people are also sad sacks shed.
yeah, absolutely.
Which sounds like an insult, but it's just a description.
It is a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Is what I've heard. I've tried to take that and shorten it. Though even so, to sad sacks, I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel that works just as well. But
And that's of course the 5 saxophonists who play on the 22 Million record.
3 of us did.
Okay.
And
So it's extended.
It's a bit extended. Yeah, there was. I mean, it was crazy that whole recording process, having 12 saxophonists from primarily around the Midwest come in and do that record. Was an experience in itself, and then to have that turn into 8 for the actual debut of the record at Eau Claire's last year.
Yeah, exactly. Which was we haven't highlighted that, but that was the highlight, of course, of last year's Eau Claire.
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was a big thing that happened. Yeah,
It was a massive thing.
and then
the live debut of the
exactly
of one of the greatest modern records.
It's something. I love it personally. But yeah, then to have that turn into, like, hey, we want to do this on the road. Let's get people together and organized and into like a unit that we can feel good about touring with, and that's how this version of Sad Sax was born.
Which played a couple of sets at this Eau Claire 2017.
Yeah, we had one great set that just us, which I have always been curious as to how that was going to play out, and it's really phenomenal because I feel like as much as we're playing like Justin's music and Rob Moose's arrangements and like our arrangements of Justin's old tunes, like we have developed the ears. We listen. We're able to listen to each other in a way that only a section can at this point, which is cool because we've finally gotten to that point, and that's really exciting because it takes a while to develop that as a group, and so that was a really exciting set, and I don't know, we recorded it. So hopefully, if I have anything to do with it, we'll release it. Yeah.
And that's actually how Eau Claire opened this year.
Yeah, the amount of improvisation at that festival was kind of astounding.
High frequency.
Yeah, and I know like in terms of like it's sort of operating on a different model at this point too. This isn't like official word, but I get from my understanding, like the creation of a space as well as like musical compositions too, but like the vibe of everything coming together with different collaborators.
Yep.
and throwing different people on different sets, and that in itself is an improvisation that's happening at Eau Claire's at the festival. That I think everyone should be really proud of that because it worked out really well. It was such a different festival this year. I don't know. I liked it better personally. People were kind of in a more of an enclosed area, like actually literally, which is cool, and sort of exposed them to different things that were happening. And then of course the goal being that different sets were getting put together. And again, with like the Sad Sax thing, having us play with This Is the Kit and
yes,
yeah, and Spank Rock,
which is a band from Bristol.
I believe they're from Bristol, so I'm sorry.
England,
so, yeah, they're definitely from England. I'm sorry if I was wrong, but yes, that was just a delight.
If I understand correctly, Justin recommended you to them.
Yeah.
For this performance.
Right.
You listened to this record and were really excited about the arrangements.
It's great stuff. I would highly recommend it. And then Cole and I from Sad Sax played. We played their first set, and then the next day we had the whole 5 saxophones play with them in the woods, which was crazy. Wow. It was great. It made for a week steeped in their music because we had to live it in order to perform. How interesting then that
so Eau Claire last year you were involved in the big unveiling of the big record, and then Eau Claire this year it's more about collaboration, improv, just like existing in relation to different sets of musicians. But then alongside all of that improv, then there's also learning parts and integrating yourself into This Is the Kit.
Right. Yeah. It was something.
We've been highlighting stuff that's happened in this current chapter as a result of the involvement with Bon Iver.
Yeah.
And so let's just focus very briefly on your involvement in the production of that record, of course, running up to Eau Claire last year. Consequence of Sound said that In that record, Justin Vernon challenges listeners to accept a new self-aware perspective, one delivered honestly and beautifully. And that it might be over soon lyric is kind of indicative of that. Consequence of Sound said, using insecurities as a rallying cry, making fear of mortality and impermanence empowering by owning them. You were saying about the genuineness of all the souls involved there,
Yeah.
and you used the metaphor of like a door being opened onto, because when you first got involved in the project you didn't really know Justin, and
Right.
and you described it to me previously as like a door being opened onto like this kind of struggling soul, and like the generosity of kind of sharing that. Both of your records that you've made since that experience have been emotionally kind of exploring struggles that you've been having too. Is that something that you're consciously, that you set out to do when you returned from Eau Claire last time, and you first of all made that 5-day record, which you were thinking of already as a precursor for The Window?
Well, kind of. That is a kindred spirit of another project that's happening. I'm finishing up a different record right now that's like, you will see so many similarities between those two records. It's kind of insane.
Between which two? The Window?
The early fall and this
okay.
and this other record.
When
But
did
yeah,
you begin working on the mysterious other record?
probably February.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the similarity between that and early fall?
I just feel like it's really pushing it. It's pushing like, I feel like there's like, it's very genre defying.
Yep.
In nature.
So
We'll see.
so early fall was the first of a couple of records that are more genre defying.
I guess so.
And Dark is the other record that you're wrapping up at the moment.
Fairly.
Dark as well. And The Window, to what extent is The Window genre defying? I'd say it is genre defying, but less so, you think?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if I had to boil it down to just plain and simple, like, I tried to make a pop record.
Yeah.
In the way that only I can try to make a pop record, I guess.